That's right, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm Just Ken. I'm Just Ken. Performed by Ryan Gosling is an internet sensation right now. Because Ryan Gosling is literally me. But it is much more than just a really catchy song. And by really catchy, I mean really catchy song. I love it. It's a really great song. It was a really great moment, a funny, hilarious moment in the Barbie movie. So today we're going to talk about the deeper meaning behind this song. A little bit of a common internet argument against the Barbie movie that is portraying a weak, submissive image of masculinity. And that is portraying men as dumb and stupid and just relying on whatever a woman says to do, and just being dependent on women for everything. Completely dependent on Barbie for her attention, and when she doesn't give him attention, he doesn't have a good day, he doesn't feel good about himself as a man and as a person.
Doesn't seem to matter what I do.
Doesn't seem to matter what I do, I'm always number two. No one knows how hard I tried.
I have feelings that I can't explain.
I have feelings that I can't explain, driving me insane. All my life been so polite, but I'll sleep alone tonight.
All my life been so polite.
So Ken is wrestling with this idea how he's always been nice to Barbie. He's been nice to her his whole life. And all he's wanted is just attention from her, and she just doesn't seem to be interested in him. So therefore, he is letting what Barbie thinks of him and her idea of what Ken should be define him. He's letting that define him. And that, I think, is his arc throughout the whole movie. The beginning of the movie, he's just completely obsessed with what Barbie wants him to be, and he just wants to do whatever Barbie tells him, and he's completely obsessed with being Barbie's number two. It's always number two, because it's always Barbie and Ken.
But it's Barbie and Ken. There is no just Ken.
Which in the real world is how the dolls really work. Ken doesn't really have his own person. He's just dependent on the Barbie brand. It's the Barbie brand, and then there's Ken. Also, he's kind of there. That encapsulates the beginning of this movie, what he's struggling with, thinking about who is Ken as an identity, as opposed to just being a sub-brand of the Barbie identity. So he's really struggling with this idea of trying to become his own person and figuring out who Ken is as a person when not related to Barbie. The chorus and the title of the song is I'm Just Ken. I'm Just Ken. He's thinking Barbie is so much better at everything than I am. The women in the Barbie land rule everything. I'm just Ken. I'm just here. I do beach, but I don't know what beach is. And I don't seem to be very good at beach. So Ken is wrestling with his identity. And I know it might sound silly how seriously I'm taking this, but it really is a serious concept here if you look into the deeper messages of the Barbie movie. So he's just Ken.
Anywhere else I'd be a 10.
What he means by anywhere else I'd be a 10 is because he went to the real world and saw how men are treated in the real world with respect, and he wants that, but in Barbie land he doesn't have that. That's why he created the patriarchy and brought that idea over into Barbie land so he could prove himself and prove what he thought to himself was defining his own identity, was ruling over women with an iron fist and making the Kens rule everything in a very silly and comedic way as the movie presents it. But he's just Ken, and he still doesn't feel like that's enough, at least at this point in the song. But as the song goes on, it encapsulates more of what Ken's arc is in the movie as a whole, as through this song, through he's wrestling with this, as he's fighting with the other Kens for attention to assert his dominance as a man. He's really wrestling with this idea, and he's wondering, who is Ken? Because as we lead into the second verse, he says, I want to know what it's like to love, to be the real thing. Because he's thinking to himself, I want to love someone, and Barbie doesn't feel affections for me, but I want to love someone. Is it a crime to love someone? Am I not hot when I'm in my feelings? So him being vulnerable and expressing his feelings, expressing his emotions, he's questioning to himself, is that just not what I'm supposed to do? Which is, again, wrong of him to be thinking in that way, because he's completely dependent on what Barbie thinks of him, and he's trying to change and define who he is based on how she feels about him, which is the message of the movie, as we learn in Ken's character arc later, as he discovers after he has that conversation with Barbie that it's Barbie and it's Ken. Ken is his own person, not at all dependent on what Barbie thinks he should be or what anyone else thinks that Ken should be. He is Kenough. So he's wrestling with that here in this part of the song. So as he's having this dance-off with the other Ken, played by Simu Liu, who also was a phenomenal job. He is a very funny actor, and he has great comedic timing, so they're both having this dance-off. As he's going through this dance-off, I'm sorry. It's just a funny thing to be talking about. I understand that. Guys, it's funny for me to be talking this seriously about this. He has a dance-off, and he's wrestling with his emotions of his masculine identity. And it's funny. But that makes it all the more memorable to have this comedic situation, which then helps you remember more of the message and discover the underlying theme for yourself, which I think makes it more impactful for you as a viewer when you get to discover it for yourself. So we're unpacking it together.
Is it my destiny to live and die a life of blonde fragility?
So he's asking this question as we lead into the second chorus. I'm just Ken. Anywhere else I'd be a 10. Is it my destiny to live a life of blonde fragility? And by the end of the song, he realizes that the answer is no, because he starts feeling the Kenergy, as the other Kens say. Can you feel the Kenergy? He starts to discover this for himself, and he's unpacking this idea. Is it my destiny to live a life of blonde fragility? And the answer is no. By the end of this song, Ken finally comes to the realization as he sings with the other Kens, all in harmony as they were all fighting for the Barbie's attention, and now they realize that they don't need to be dependent on that to find their identity as a man. They all join in unity, they put their manly hands together, and they sing,
I'm just Ken and I'm enough, and I'm great at doing stuff.
I'm just Ken and I'm enough, and I'm great at doing stuff. Ken is great at doing stuff. Him as a man and you are as a man, even just as a woman, people as humans, everyone's great at doing stuff.
So hey, check me out, yeah, I'm just Ken.
And now he ends with this flamboyant expression of him being confident in who he is and his identity without being dependent on what Barbie thinks his identity should be. Hey, check me out, I'm just Ken. So now he's just Ken. And at the beginning of the song, he was thinking, I'm just Ken. I could never live up to the image of Barbie or what Barbie thinks the image of Ken should be. But now he's come to the realization that I'm just Ken, and that's enough. He's Kenough, as the sweatshirt says that he wears at the end of the movie. He's confident in Ken as an identity. Now Ken closes out his arc as realizing that he doesn't need to be defined about what anyone else thinks he should be, especially not what Barbie thinks he should be, but even the other Kens. As he was wrestling, he was fighting for Barbie's attention with these other Kens who he should be helping figuring out who they should be as Ken, their identity as well, without relying on what anyone else thinks and what anyone else's standards for Ken's identity is. So a common argument that people have is that Ken is presented as silly and stupid, as well as the other men in the movie, anyone who's a male, and that they don't really do much, and they're just presented to be women are awesome and men are terrible. And I just don't think that's the message that's being presented here. Also, I would say, just as a side point, if you need your masculinity to be validated by a Barbie movie, which Barbie is primarily played for by females, then I would say you need to reassess your own self-confidence, because the Barbie movie, what it says about you as a man, does not define what your masculinity is or if it's a good or bad thing for society. You need to decide that for yourself. And I think that is the message of the movie, is that you are not defined by a woman wrote this movie. Greta Gerwig directed and wrote Barbie. And if you are concerned with what the Barbie movie says about you, you are literally going against the message of the movie, which is you should not be concerned with what this woman thinks that masculinity should be, or masculinity should be based on her standards for your life. You shouldn't be concerned with that. You should be concerned with finding your own identity for what a man should be, or finding masculinity, or in my opinion, what God says your masculinity should be. And it is a good thing for society. It's a beautiful thing that men and women are separate and they're different. They're equal. One is not better than the other, but they are different very much so in society, and masculinity is a positive force for a society, for a culture. So I would say that is the message of the movie. This is the message that I'm Just Ken encapsulates. I've had this song on repeat in listening to it for the past few days since I saw the movie Barbie twice. I think it's a great message. I think it's a very nice song. It's an awesome song. It's epic. It's powerful. It's you really feel for Ken in this moment, and he is discovering who he is as a person. He is Kenough. And that's a great message. And I liked this song, and I liked this movie a lot. So I'd love to hear what you thought about this song, about this movie, though. I know you've had it on repeat, too, because Ryan Gosling is literally me. As you know, he is literally a lot of you. So let me know down below in the comments what you think of this song, what you thought of the Barbie movie. I'm definitely going to be listening to this song a lot more as the days go on. I know you will be, too. I hope you will, because I think it's a great song. And the dance choreography, very inspiring. The Kens are manly. So but I would encourage you to form your own opinion. Don't listen to what I have to say and take it as fact. That goes against the message of the movie, and that goes against my moral code. I would hate it if you would do that. So form your own opinion. Go see the movie if you haven't already. And if you like this video, please leave a like on this video, as always. If you didn't like this video, please leave a dislike on this video, because you should always form your own opinion. And if you haven't subscribed already, I'd love it if you would do that. I would greatly appreciate it. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye-bye.